Have you ever felt the whisper of a life unlived? That persistent nudge towards something more, something different, something that calls to your soul, only feel a cold, heavy weight descend, anchoring you exactly where you are? That weight, that anchor is often fear. It's the unseen architect of your comfort zone, building walls masquerading as safety. It convinces you that the pain of staying put is less than the potential pain of stepping out. It's cunning, pervasive, and incredibly skilled at keeping you small. We live in a world that celebrates external achievement, the conquering hero on the battlefield or in the boardroom. But what about the battles fought within? What about the quiet acts of courage performed in the landscape of your own psyche? What about the potential hero lying dormant inside you, waiting for the call to confront the very fears that dim your light and hold you captive? This isn't just about managing anxiety or pushing through temporary discomfort. This is about understanding the fundamental psychological pattern hardwired into humanity, a pattern that reveals a secret to transforming fear from a paralyzing enemy into the very fuel for your growth. This pattern, this universal story, is the archetype of the hero in their timeless journey, a concept illuminated so brilliantly by figures like Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell. Jung understood these archetypes as ancient, powerful forces in our collective unconscious, shaping our experiences and behaviors in ways we rarely recognize. The hero is one such force, a drive towards individuation, towards facing the unknown, towards becoming whole. In the next extraordinary moments, we will embark on an exploration not of mythical lands, but of your own inner territory. We will trace the stages of the hero's journey, revealing how fear manifests at each turn and, more importantly, how the energy of the inner hero provides a map and the courage to navigate it. You will learn that the monsters to be faced are often within, that the greatest treasures are guarded by your deepest fears, and that the capacity for heroic action is not a gift for a select few, but an innate potential residing within your own psyche, waiting for you to answer the call. Fear in the modern world rarely wears a monstrous form you can see coming. Instead, it's the subtle erosion of confidence, the justification for procrastination, the clever rationalization for avoiding vulnerability, the gnawing anxiety about the future, the terror of being truly seen. It manifests as a knot in your stomach before sending that important email, the urge to scroll mindlessly instead of working on your passion project, the silence you keep when you desperately want to speak your truth, the 100 reasons you find not to pursue the life you truly desire. This isn't just inconvenient. It's soul-stifling. It keeps you operating far below your potential, leading to a quiet but persistent sense of dissatisfaction, a feeling that something fundamental is missing. The common prescriptions, just think positive, don't worry, push through it, often fall short because they fail to address the root cause. They treat the symptom, the feeling of fear, without understanding its origins or its purpose within our psychological structure. Jungian psychology, with its deep respect for the unconscious and its patterns, offers a far more profound approach. It suggests that fear, like all intense emotions, is a messenger, a signal from the deeper layers of your psyche. And when understood within the context of the hero archetype and its journey, fear reveals itself not just as an obstacle, but as an essential part of the path towards wholeness and strength. The hero archetype is the embodiment of the human spirit's capacity to confront adversity, to leave the safety of the known world, face trials and tribulations, and return transformed, bringing newfound wisdom back to the community. Whether that community is your family, your workplace, or simply your own integrated self. This inner hero is activated whenever you are called to step beyond your current limitations, to face a significant challenge, or to integrate a disowned part of yourself. It is a courage that rises when you stand at a crossroads and choose the path less traveled, the path that demands more of you. It's the inherent drive towards growth, individuation, and the realization of your full potential. Joseph Campbell, in his seminal work, showed how this archetypal pattern plays out in myths and stories across all cultures and times. But its most vital stage is happening not on some mythical mountain, but in the landscape of your own mind and heart. We undertake this hero's journey not once, but many times throughout our lives, each journey representing a cycle of death and rebirth, a shedding of the old self and the emergence of a new, stronger one. By understanding these stages, you gain a map for navigating your own fears and challenges. The journey begins with the call to adventure, This is the moment when something disrupts your ordinary world and invites you into something new or challenging. It could be an external event, a job offer in a new city, the end of a relationship, a health crisis, a new creative idea that sparks within you, or it could be a powerful inner pull, a growing dissatisfaction with your current life, a longing for deeper meaning, a sense that you are meant for something more. This call often feels exciting, a flutter of possibility, but almost immediately, it is accompanied by a wave of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of leaving behind familiar, fear of change. The call to adventure is a universe, or your own deepest self, knocking on the door of your comfort zone. It's the initiation signal that says, there is more for you to explore, more for you to become. Recognizing this call requires a degree of self-awareness, the ability to listen to that inner whisper amidst the noise of daily life and the loud protest of fear. It requires acknowledging the feeling of restlessness or longing as a legitimate signal, not just something to be dismissed. The first act of the inner hero is simply to hear the call, to acknowledge its presence, even if you feel a powerful urge to ignore it. What calls are you hearing in your life right now that fear is urging you to dismiss? Is it the call to start a new project, learn a new skill, pursue a different career path, heal a relationship, or finally prioritize your own well-being? Following closely on the heels of the call is almost always the refusal of the call. This is the stage where fear often makes its most convincing arguments. It's too risky. You're not ready. What if you fail and everyone laughs? It's safer here. We create elaborate rationalizations, distractions, and delaying tactics to avoid answering the call. This refusal is fueled by a deep-seated fear of leaving the known, the familiar, the seemingly safe harbor of our current reality, no matter how uncomfortable it may have become. This fear is often connected to core insecurities and past wounds, whispering that we are not capable, not worthy, not strong enough to face the demands of the adventure. The refusal of the call is the manifestation of resistance, a powerful force within the psyche that seeks to maintain the status quo, to keep things predictable and safe. From a Jungian perspective, this resistance can be linked to the inertia of the ego, which is comfortable in its known identity and is threatened by the prospect of transformation. Refusing the call keeps you stagnant, reinforcing belief that you are limited by your fears. It is a temporary relief that comes at the high price of missed potential and a deepening sense of regret. Recognizing that your excuses are often just fear in disguise is a crucial step towards moving forward. If you manage to overcome the initial refusal, or if the call becomes too insistent to ignore, you will often encounter the mentor. The mentor represents guidance and wisdom from the unconscious. This could appear in the external world as a wise person who offers crucial advice, a therapist who helps you understand your inner landscape, a book that provides timely insights, or a teacher who equips you with necessary skills. But the mentor can also be an internal figure, a manifestation of your own inner wisdom, the voice of intuition or the self, offering guidance and support from the deeper levels of your psyche. The mentor helps you prepare for the journey, providing protective talismans, knowledge, or simply the crucial belief in yourself that you need to take the next step. The mentor's role is not to fight your battles for you, but to equip you and encourage you to fight them yourself. Their guidance helps you to see your fears from a new perspective, to understand that they are not insurmountable barriers but challenges to be navigated. Engaging with the mentor requires humility and openness, a willingness to receive help and to trust in wisdom that may come from outside your familiar way of thinking or from a deeper place within you that you haven't fully accessed. Equipped by the mentor, you reach crossing the threshold. This is the point of no return. It is a decisive act of committing to the adventure and leaving the ordinary world behind. This threshold can be a literal one, moving to a new city, starting a new job, ending a relationship. More often, it is psychological, sending that application, making that phone call, having that difficult conversation, making a public declaration of your intention, taking the first concrete action towards your goal. Even if it's small, fear will likely intensify here as the potential consequences of your action become real. This is a moment of true courage where you act despite the fear. Crossing the threshold is symbolic death of the old self, the self that was defined by its limitations and fears. It is a passage into the unknown, a chaotic yet potentially fertile territory where your old rules no longer apply. It requires a leap of faith, a trust in the process of the journey itself. The fear you feel at this threshold is a natural response to shedding the familiar, but the act of crossing demonstrates to your psyche that you are no longer willing to be confined by it. You have committed to growth over comfort. Once across the threshold, you enter the special world, a realm of tests, allies, and enemies. This is the bulk of the hero's journey, filled with challenges that test your resolve, your skills, and your character. These tests can be external obstacles, difficult situations, or unexpected setbacks that force you to adapt and grow. Throughout these tests, you encounter allies, individuals or forces that support and aid you in your journey. These alliances are crucial, reminding you that you are not alone and providing necessary assistance. Crucially, in this special world, you also face enemies. While external adversaries exist, the most significant enemies in the psychological journey are often internal. This is where the concept of the shadow becomes paramount. The shadow, in Jungian psychology, comprises all the parts of ourselves that we have repressed, denied, or disowned because they were deemed unacceptable by ourselves or society. These include our flaws, weaknesses, selfish impulses, but also often our untapped potential, creative urges, and authentic desires that we were taught to suppress out of fear or shame. When you are on your hero's journey, facing challenges that push your limits, these unintegrated aspects of your shadow often show up as internal enemies. Fear itself can be seen as a manifestation of a disowned part of the shadow, perhaps a deep-seated insecurity or a past trauma that hasn't been processed. Self-sabotage, procrastination, irrational anger, crippling self-doubt. These are often the work of unacknowledged shadow aspects acting against your conscious intentions. Facing these internal enemies is arguably the most challenging but rewarding part of the journey. It requires radical self-honesty and a willingness to look at the parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. The tests you face often expose these shadow aspects. For example, taking on a leadership role, a test, might trigger intense self-doubt, a shadow enemy, rooted in childhood experiences of feeling inadequate. Starting a creative project might bring up a fear of judgment, shadow, linked to past criticism. Recognizing that these internal enemies are not external forces attacking you, but parts of your own psyche asking for attention and integration, fundamentally changes the battle. The hero doesn't annihilate the shadow. The hero learns to understand it, integrates energy, and make peace with the disowned parts of self. This process transforms perceived weaknesses into sources of profound insight and strength. All the trials and encounters in the special world prepare you for the ultimate challenge, the approach to the inmost cave. This is the inner sanctum where the central ordeal will take place, often a location of the greatest treasure or the deepest fear. It represents the threshold to the most dangerous spot, psychologically speaking. It could be confronting a core trauma, facing a deeply ingrained limiting belief that has dictated your life, having the most vulnerable conversation imaginable, or standing on the precipice of massive change that triggers your most primal fears of abandonment, failure, or not being enough. The fear experienced during the approach is immense, a buildup of all the anxieties and insecurities that have surfaced during the journey. Every instinct screams at you to turn back, to abandon the quest, to flee the overwhelming presence of what you fear most. The inmost cave is where you come face to face with the dragon that guards the most valuable treasure. Often, the treasure is a crucial part of your authentic self or profound truth about your own power. The fear here is not just about what might happen externally, but about the potential death of the ego as you know it, the shedding of old identities and defenses that have kept you safe, but also trapped. Standing at the mouth of this cave requires every ounce of courage you have cultivated so far. Then comes the ordeal, the climax of the hero's journey. This is a direct confrontation with your greatest fear, the psychological death and rebirth. It's the peak moment of crisis where the hero must face the dragon head-on, whether that dragon is an external challenge, a relationship crisis, or an internal battle with crippling anxiety or a core belief in your own unworthiness. In this moment, you put everything on the line. The fear is overwhelming, but the inner hero finds the strength to act despite it. This isn't about the fear disappearing. It's about your willingness to be fully present with it, to move through it, to choose courage over comfort when the stakes are highest. Surviving the ordeal is not guaranteed, But the act of facing it, regardless of the external outcome, is the true victory. This is where profound transformation occurs. You learn that you can withstand immense fear and emerge changed. You discover the depth of your own resilience. The experience of the ordeal burns away the old limitations and false beliefs, paving the way for something new to emerge. It is a symbolic death of the fearful, limited self and the birth of the courageous, authentic self. Emerging from the ordeal, the hero claims the reward. This is the treasure that was guarded by the dragon, often referred to as seizing the sword. As mentioned before, this is rarely material wealth in the psychological journey. The reward is typically internal. A surge of confidence, a deep knowing of your own strength, the integration of a powerful shadow aspect, newfound clarity about your purpose, a release from a lifelong burden of fear, or the acquisition of a crucial skill or a piece of wisdom. You have claimed a part of yourself, a power or a truth that was previously inaccessible because fear stood in the way. You have proven your capacity for courage and resilience to yourself, and this inner validation is more valuable than any external prize. Having faced the ultimate fear and claimed the reward, the hero must now embark on the road back. This phase isn't necessarily easier than the journey into the special world. Returning to your ordinary life with your newfound power and wisdom can bring its own set of challenges. The external world may not have changed, and integrating your transformed self back into your old reality can be difficult. Old habits, old fears, and external resistance may try to pull you back into your former state. This stage requires continued vigilance and the conscious application of the lessons learned during the ordeal. The fear of losing what you've gained, or the fear of not being understood by those you left behind, can be potent here. Often, before the final return, there is one last critical challenge: the resurrection. This is a final, heightened test where the hero must demonstrate that the transformation is complete and lasting. It's often a confrontation with a transformed version of the original enemy, or final, ultimate fear that tests whether you have truly integrated your growth. This is a purification before re-entering the ordinary world, proving that the old fear no longer has power over you in the same way. It's the final shedding of the past self and the full embodiment of the transformed hero. Passing this test confirms your mastery over the fear that once held you captive. And finally, the hero completes the cycle with the return with the elixir. The elixir is a treasure, the wisdom, the transformation brought back from the special world to benefit the ordinary world. In your psychological journey, the elixir is the strength, the peace, the authenticity, the deeper understanding of yourself and the human condition that you gain by facing your fears and integrating your shadow. This elixir isn't just for you. By living from a place of greater courage and authenticity, you positively impact your relationships, your work, and the world around you. You become a living example of what is possible when someone dares to undertake the inner hero's journey. Your presence, your changed way of being, offers hope and inspiration to others who are still struggling with their own fears. So, reflect for a moment. Where are you on your own hero's journey right now? Have you heard a call to adventure that you are refusing out of fear? What is the nature of that fear? What internal enemies, what aspects of your shadow might be holding you back? What is the inmost cave you need to approach? The deepest fear you need to face? The wisdom of the archetype of the hero, illuminated by Jungian psychology, teaches us that fear is not the opposite of courage. Fear is a prerequisite for courage. You cannot be courageous without facing something you fear. The journey is not about eliminating fear, but about cultivating the inner strength, the conscious awareness, and the trust in your own innate capacity to move through it. Every challenge you face, every instance where fear arises, is an invitation to step onto the path of the hero. It is an opportunity to learn more about yourself, to integrate the sown parts of your psyche, and to claim the power that lies dormant within you. The hero is not someone who is never afraid. The hero is someone who feels a fear and chooses to take the step anyway. The map is there. The archetypal energy is within you. You have a deep, inherent drive towards growth and wholeness. Trust that process. Trust in your capacity for courage. Identify the specific call in your life that is being met with resistance and fear. What is one small, concrete step you can take today, despite the fear, to cross that initial threshold? It doesn't have to be a monumental leap. A single conscious step taken in the direction of your fear is an act of immense courage, a declaration from your inner hero that says, I am ready. I will not be defined by my fear. This journey requires patience and self-compassion. There will be setbacks, moments of doubt, and times when you feel overwhelmed by fear. That is part of the process. The key is not perfection, but persistence. Every time you choose to face a fear, every time you take a step despite the voice of resistance, you strengthen the muscle of your inner hero. You prove to yourself experientially that you are capable of navigating the unknown and confronting the challenges that arise. If this exploration of the hero's journey and overcoming fear resonated with you, if you felt that spark of recognition for the inner hero within, please let me know by hitting the like button on this video. Your likes help spread this message to others who might be struggling with their own fears. And I want to hear from you. What is the biggest fear monster, the deepest fear that you feel is currently blocking your path or resides in your inmost cave? Sharing it in the comments below can be an act of courage in itself, an acknowledgement of the challenge you face. Or share a moment, big or small, when you felt afraid but acted anyway, your own personal mini ordeal and the reward it brought. Your story matters and can inspire someone else reading the comments. The archetype of the hero is not a distant ideal. It is a living, breathing energy within you, waiting to guide you through the challenges of your life. Don't let fear keep you from answering its call and claiming the incredible treasures that lie on the other side. If you are committed to this path of inner work, to exploring the depths of your psyche and unlocking your true potential using the power of Jungian insights, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Click the subscribe button and the notification bell right now, so you don't miss future videos on archetypes, the unconscious, and practical tools for psychological transformation. The path of the hero is the path of becoming who you are truly meant to be. It is a path forged in the fires of fear, illuminated by the light of courage, and rewarded with the priceless treasure of an integrated, authentic self. Thank you for undertaking this journey with me today. Remember, the greatest adventure, the most heroic quest, is always the one that leads you back to yourself.